Plots of revenge mixed with wealth and murder have always fascinated us, from the ancient Greeks to Shakespeare. Consider the waves made by the new drama Revenge this season. But when the story is fact, not fiction, there's a whole new dimension. Tonight, we bring you here to the glamorous Hamptons for a murder most rare, the first in 20 years. Off-season is cold, desolate, disquieting, especially at a mansion on Middle Lane, where the murder that happened years ago is not forgotten. There's been a trial, but it didn't answer all the questions. This twisted tale began, as many do, with a love story.
When I was young, I'd drive over the 59th Street Bridge. I'd be coming in the morning, it'd still be dark, and all the lights be turning on. I used to say it to the guys in my truck, there's a woman in here. There's a woman in here who's paying these big rents, who's single. I said, she's gonna be gorgeous, and I'm gonna find her.
12 years ago, Danny Pelosi, an electrician from Long Island, did find the woman of his dreams, the beautiful and very wealthy Generosa Ammon. He was working on her Manhattan townhouse.
I used to sleep in my truck in front of the building. She showed up at the job one morning and said, my work is do not sleep in trucks.
Generosa got him a room at the ritzy Stanhope Hotel on Fifth Avenue, where she was staying during the renovations.
All my guys that worked for me did not want me to have an affair with her because they were like, Danny, if you sleep with her, we're gonna get fired.
They went for drinks at the hotel bar. She, a cosmopolitan in a rocks glass. He, a beer.
I could tell you this much. She sat on the couch across from me in the Stanhope, told me 3 times how she was not about to make the first move here. And after the 3rd time, I said, come here. And that's where it started. She was elegant, she was beautiful, she was different.
And she had introduced Danny to a whole new world of luxury, money, and high society splendor. It would be no simple affair. Generosa was not only rich, she was married. Her husband, Ted Ammon, a lawyer and self-made millionaire, had made a fortune in leveraged buyouts. Ted was brilliant, handsome, and a benefactor of the arts. Generosa, who had spent part of her early life in foster care, was an aspiring artist, barely making ends meet in Manhattan real estate, when she met Ted in the early 80s, according to Vanity Fair's Michael Schneerson.
He was a single man and a very wealthy one. She was a rental apartment agent, sort of the lowest rung on the ladder. He was looking for an apartment and made an appointment and apparently forgot about it or just failed to show. And the next day at the office, he got an angry call from this woman who was the rental agent who said, how dare you stand me up? And he was sort of charmed. She was fiery.
Ted asked Generosa out on a date. 3 years later, they were married and moved to the elegant and expensive Upper East Side of Manhattan. They adopted twins, Greg and Alexa, who were raised with every luxury, including a private nanny. Generosa occupied herself decorating their many homes, the East Side townhouse, a castle in England, and their East Hampton mansion at 59 Middle Lane, spending and sometimes wasting thousands.
A landscaper went with Generosa to a nursery. They picked out tulips of a particular shade. And as he said to me, tulips actually, the shade changes a little bit from morning to evening, as the light changes. At any rate, they planted these 600 tulips of a particular shade. And over the weekend, he came back to find her, like a crazy woman, ripping out all the tulips because the shade was wrong.
Over time, Generosa's erratic behavior began to poison the marriage, and she was jealous, convinced Ted was having an affair, suspecting he had had a baby with another woman. Enter Danny Pelosi, the electrician from Center Moriches, a working-class neighborhood on Long Island.
I thought I hit lotto. I really did. I went from a guy who walked into an electrical job to becoming the boss.
Not that she always let him be the boss. She was demanding, a perfectionist, something that annoyed Danny.
She would have us actually build the floor, frame it out, wire it, plumb it. It just wouldn't look right to her. So she'd make you tear it all out. She'd make you tear the whole floor out. Yeah, and do it all over. So that would be $25,000, a workman's dream.
Was she a perfectionist in your personal relationship too?
She wouldn't let me walk down Madison Avenue with white sneakers on.
Because?
It wasn't proper.
There was nothing proper about Danny. In fact, he was a convicted felon, arrested 7 times, imprisoned twice on drunk driving charges.
What did Generosa see in you?
I was a man with a tool belt. I gave her what the rich man couldn't. Yeah. I didn't have to buy her. I could just be me, and this woman liked me for me.
They fell in love. Generosa flaunted her relationship with Danny. Her husband, Ted, knew all about it.
If you're a very vengeful, paranoid, irrational, soon-to-be ex-wife, what better punishment to inflict than shacking up in the Stanhope in a $1,500 a night suite with your new boyfriend, the electrician, and the kids right there in the next room, and having Danny essentially be their surrogate father. It drove Ted absolutely nuts.
Well, of course, Ted was picking up the tab.
Apparently about $70,000.
$70,000 a month?
Yeah, just for the Stanhope bills.
Do you think she was trying to get back at him with you?
Absolutely.
I mean, that's really rubbing it in his nose, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I know how I would react if my ex-wife did that to me, especially when you're fighting over money.
Generosa was convinced Ted was hiding hundreds of millions of dollars and wanted her share. She even had Danny help install surveillance cameras in the house on Middle Lane to spy on Ted.
It was the War of the Roses. He was taking things, and she was looking to catch him. She wanted hard proof to say, look, here's Ted stealing $100,000 worth of wine.
So the way it worked is from a remote location, you could look at a computer screen and see what was going on in the house, at least where the cameras were.
Generosa would sit at the Stanhope and access the beach house from the Stanhope, yes.
The divorce battle got ugly.
Ted himself had said that Generosa had expressed on more than one occasion her intention to kill him. But he didn't, when your angry wife, soon-to-be ex-wife, says that, how seriously do you take it?
Eventually, Ted and Generosa arrived at the negotiating table. The first offer, $10 million.
Did you say take the deal?
I said, take the money and run. I said, let's do this. I said, come on, where I come from, $10 million? Forget it, I'm good.
Well, she didn't listen to you about the $10 million. She hung in there.
She hung in there, and then, before we knew it, we had an agreement. She had an agreement.
$25 million.
$25 million.
She was right.
She was absolutely right.
It seemed finally Generosa was satisfied. The fighting had come to an end. It was Friday, October 19th, 2001. The final divorce settlement would be signed on Monday. But what happens that weekend changes everything.